Justin, why does Andrew Tate resonate with the masses?
Because he speaks the truth that many people are afraid to say.
Yeah, extremely controversial on his hand, spewing a bunch of stuff that is extremely outlandish. Behind it lies a ton of truth.
In today's society, at least in the West, we have these false assumptions that we wear. It's almost like a baby safety blanket or whatever, right? These little lies that we tell ourselves in order to make ourselves feel better. Some of these would be, for example, we are all equal. The answer is no, we are not all equal. People come in different heights, shapes, sizes, etc. And that's a good thing. And the reason it's a good thing is because you are given by birth, by the accident of birth, your various skills. You will be good at some things, you will be bad at other things. You should not be, it does not make sense for someone to be good at absolutely everything. But at the same time, we like to tell people that they're good at everything. A silly example of this would be, imagine someone who, let's say they grow up, but they're, let's say 5 or whatever, right? If their parents say you can do whatever you want, including becoming a basketball star, well, maybe they can, but the thing is to actually engage and play basketball well, probably being tall is a natural advantage. I'm not saying someone who's shorter can't overcome it, but just by the nature of what they've been given at birth, it's going to be tricky. Now, at the same time, a tall person would be really bad to be a jockey, like the people who ride horses or whatever, right? Just because you want as small mass as you possibly can on the horse so that the horse has less weight in order to run faster or whatever, right? My point from all of this is that if we tell people whatever lies, that they can be good at anything they want to be, if we tell people that, oh, you're born a man and maybe you can be something else or whatever, right? What we're doing is we're denying the true situation of what we actually are as a species, and it's going to be to our tremendous disadvantage. Anyways, back to Tate. I'm not saying Tate isn't a grifter. I'm not saying Tate isn't a hustler. Now, those might be good, those might be bad. I'm not going to make a moral judgment on that. But what I will give Tate credit for, and I think he deserves credit for this, is for actually speaking the truth. When he comes out and says, like, listen, do you see doctors, or at least, early stage doctors? Do you see teachers? Do you see professors? Do you see the people we're supposed to put on a pedestal in society, driving nice cars, having nice homes, having an entourage, or a harem, probably a better way of saying it, of young ladies or men, if that's your thing? My point is, no, you don't see it. And Tate, I think, does a very good job of calling this out. And the reason I think he resonates, Josh, to your point earlier, is because when you have a younger generation, the millennials are kind of clued to this, but I think the Zoomers, he would resonate more with that. That's just my guess without going too far into it, is that they've been told, that is, let's stick on the Zoomers. The Zoomers have been told one thing. We've done videos in the past, like, thou shalt go to school, thou shalt get a degree, thou shalt get a job. And when you look at what's going on, someone's actually come in and say, like, no, this is fucking stupid. You shouldn't do this at all. In fact, here's why. A fool and his money are soon parted, and I have a feeling that those who subscribe to whatever marketing thing Tate's doing will soon be parted of their money. But that doesn't necessarily mean that Tate isn't throwing out a kernel of truth, and a kernel of truth that many of the younger generations, particularly the Zoomers, haven't heard, because they haven't heard the truth, but they can still recognize the truth. There's this, it resonates with their soul. It makes sense to them. Someone actually had the courage to go out and speak, the forbidden knowledge that they were not told growing up. At least that's my take. Josh?
Yeah, I think the biggest part that Justin was saying is these people have never heard the contrarian view before. It's just never been spread. And he's the first person that is making someone have to choose between their current ideological framework and a different one that they have not yet even considered. And that is very important for multiple reasons. We talked a lot before that if we want everything, if it gets so bad to the point where people find the precipice to change, will they change, or will they be lost forever? And Andrew Tate right now is giving people a self-fulfilling mechanism to kind of see if their brain can hold a thought that they thought was so outlandish, or maybe they didn't. I mean, there was a lot of people, myself would have been included in this, that would have subconsciously kind of agreed with a lot of the points that he made, especially around the school and everything that was going on with the real world people who make money. And listening to an explanation of what is actually going on is almost exactly what someone like myself would have needed 3 years ago.
If no one has actually provided a counter argument to the prevailing zeitgeist, again, that's thou shalt go to school, thou shalt get a degree, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. If no one's presented a countervailing argument to that, and I don't think many people have, all you need is one loud voice to present just one argument. If there's only one option, there's only one choice. And my point is that you might have people who deep down inside know, let's say, like, people from, let's say, 15 to 25 or whatever, right? Who might know, well, okay, well, listen, I understand that logic. I see how my parents, did did it. I maybe saw how my older brothers did it or whatever, right? But I'm not quite sure I see that it makes sense for me. But if there's no one to have that discussion and say, okay, well, maybe it doesn't make sense for you, they will latch on to the only voice or the only loud voice that's out there. And this is where you get into this very interesting dynamic of human psychology, I think, where the voice doesn't necessarily have to be logically consistent. It just has to be persuasive. And Tate is very persuasive when he posts these videos flying private, when he posts these videos of just basically the lifestyle that he leads. This is intoxicating. And to be fair to Tate, I don't think Tate is fronting that. I suspect Tate is very much living that life. I'll be surprised if he's not. That being said, and this is where I mean when it comes to speaking the truth, when he says, like, listen, this is what I did and I want nothing to do with school. In full fairness to myself, I was bounced out of my first school. In fact, generally the people I do business with and the people I associate and the people that I'm closest with, all of them either never went to school, rejected school, or were bounced out of school. Anyways, take that for what it is. But my point, though, is as far as Tate goes, like, I give the dude credit for speaking the truth. I give the dude credit for saying something that needs to be said. That being said, I certainly suspect he's a grifter. I certainly wouldn't pay anything for what he's done. Hat tip to CoffeeZilla, who did a recent video on him, talking about Hustle's University. But still, being someone who's willing to present an alternative viewpoint that people, especially young males, are desperately thirsty for, yeah, good on him. That is good on Tate for doing it. Again, don't sign up for his university, but at least,
honestly, I'd disagree. I'd give him $50 because I think he's actually changing and shaping a lot of young men's lives. Like, one thing that really bothers me that I'm glad that he's touching on is that men have to be men. I mean, disgusting little girls and beta male soy boys, you could call them, that my generation, and myself included, I'm no better, trust me, that we have become is disturbing. I mean, it is disgusting, and it hurts me on such a deep level because I know that is who I was and currently am, and I'm trying to get out of the extra soy lattes.
Yeah, sooner or later, men are going to have to remember how to be men again, and hopefully it doesn't kill us all or the majority of humanity in the process, although I think if something is going to kill the majority.
It's good, because now women are men for us. They do it all. That's another thing that he touches on, that if you go back to human history, I mean, there are roles for men and women, and whether you like it or not, there are exceptions on all levels. But when you talk about generalizations, there are things that you can make as a generalization for men and women.
And I will also add too, like, generally when you look at the exceptions tend to prove the rule. Nobody likes to admit that, of course, but that's generally how it works out. And lastly, remember, when you're talking about generations, I think you're permitted to make generalizations. And so again, like when you look at kind of where we got to in society right now, I mean, my favorite quip that I read about the boomers, again, not all boomers to be clear, but as a generation, you had a generation of men that failed to live up to their fathers and did everything they possibly could to make certain that their sons would never live up to them.
Does Andrew Tate resonate with you? Do you hate him, love him, or all of the above?